Welcome everyone to the session. I do request that everybody put themselves on mute and keep your video off for the remainder of the session. And it is my pleasure to introduce Dipanshu Matar, who's going to talk to us about a mechanical energy storage as an alternative to batteries on Mars. So Dipanshu, take it away.
Thank you so much, Ken. So, looking in the night sky towards the red dot, thought came into the mind that it could be a future home to us, but how we will live on that red planet, that is Mars. We will need all kind of resources, like we will need to grow agriculture. We need agriculture. We need to extract water from the surface. We need to develop the shelters, and for all of these things we will obviously need energy. So, hi everyone, I am Dipanshu Mathur, and I welcome to all the attendees who have joined through from all the parts of the world. And today I am going to present my ideas on mechanical energy storage, which could be a proposed alternative to the batteries on Mars. As we all know, that the energy storage, utilization, and management is a crucial part for our long duration sustainable habitation on Mars. And sunlight being the major source of energy, which is also totally clean and inexhaustible renewable source of energy, and also a prime energy source on Mars, because we don't have any other kind of sources like tidal energy or maybe thermal energy on Mars. So we are mostly will be depending on the sunlight. But if we see that the solar energy or any other form of renewable energy like wind, which are not available throughout the day, if we see this graph, where we can find that this is the graph of demand and supply of the solar energy, that the sunlight is available from around 7 a.m. to 4 p.m. in the evening. But at that same time, demand is pretty much low, because we don't need much of the light at that time. But the demand surges after this, after the evening time, when there is no sunlight. So it is pretty much clear that we need to store this solar energy so that we can use this in the later time. So we usually, what we do is that we store these energy in form of electricity, the electrical energy in the form of batteries. Even in the International Space Station uses 60% of its energy, which it grabs from the solar panel to charge its batteries. What kind of systems do we have? We have lithium-ion batteries, redox flow batteries, and there are also other kind of batteries like lithium polymer batteries, which we use widely for storing electrical energy. But the main issue with these kind of things is that it has a small life cycle, which is around 10 to 15 years, and also these things are hazardous to the environment. And with every charging and discharging, this batteries reduces their efficiency. And of course, if we want to scale our capacity on Mars, we need to transport these things, and we know that transporting cost is huge when we are transporting anything from Earth to Mars. So what could be the alternative? The alternative could be mechanical energy storage, which may include pumped storage, hydro, compressed air storage, flywheel storage, and gravity storage. So coming to our first, that is pumped storage hydro. The pump storage hydro has two reservoirs. This is something which is being used commonly on Earth, where we have two different reservoirs. One is upper reservoir, another is lower reservoir. And when we need electricity, then we release the water from the upper reservoir, which is having a higher potential. Then this higher potential energy directly goes to the turbine, and this turbine then generates the electricity. But when there is surplus of energy, then we pump this water, which is at the lower reservoir or the lower potential place, to the higher reservoir. And in this way, because we know that we cannot store electrical energy but we can easily store the water at the higher potential. So in this way, we are using the potential energy or the gravitational potential energy of Earth to store the water at the higher elevation. So yes, the pumped hydro storage require large quantity of waters and of course large reservoirs at different elevation. And in this way, it what it does is it converts electrical energy into the potential energy when of course when there is a surplus of energy, and then this potential energy can again be converted into electrical energy and through the kinetic energy of the water. So, but if we look at the surface of the Mars, this is our Mars, and here is the surface. At least we cannot find this much amount of water. We can of course find some traces of the water, but what we can mostly see here is the boulders, the rocks, and obviously the Martian regolith. There are a huge amount of Martian rocks which are available on this Mars. So of course we cannot employ this pumped hydro system on Mars at least. So what could be the alternative? We can at least grab this concept, or we can at least borrow this concept of storing the energy in form of potential energy, gravitational potential energy, using these rocks. So here comes our gravity energy storage or gravity batteries. So gravity batteries store the gravitational potential energy by lifting a mass to a certain height using pump, crane, or motor when there is surplus of energy in the form of potential energy, and it releases this energy by lowering the mass when it is required. So here again it is doing the same thing. We are storing the energy in form of potential energy when it is in the surplus, and when we need this energy, we will release that mass to we will lower that mass, and through the kinetic energy of the rotation of the motor, we can again grab this electrical this in the form of electrical energy. And the only requirement is the Martian rocks or Martian soil or compact regoliths. So here is a 2D depiction of this gravity batteries or gravity storage system. Here we have a heavy mass which is suspended through cables, and this cable is tied over a drum or a flywheel, which is directly connected through the motor, which is a geared motor through shaft, and these geared motors are connected through DC switch, and that DC switch will be deciding where to supply the energy. So let us suppose if we have surplus of energy. These PV arrays are some kind of photovoltaic cells. So when we have surplus of energy, then we will using the surplus energy to drive the motor, and this motor will elevate or lift the heavy mass. In this way, we are storing the energy in form of potential energy. But when we are in the need of this energy again, so what we will do is that we will lower the mass in the controlled manner using the gearing mechanism, and we will again generate that electricity. So here we can see that there are two kind of systems which we can use. Like we can use vertically, we can elevate or lower the mass, or we can also use that on the inclined surface, because ultimately what is the what energy depends on will be height and mass, the vertical height and the mass. So of course, a few of people from us might have saw this kind of system which is called Da Vinci clock. Here we have a heavy mass suspended on one side. When we need to run this clock, we just elevate this mass to a certain height, and this mass gradually lowers down with the influence of gravity, and without use of any kind of electricity, this system runs the clock. So here we are using, in this gravity energy storage, we are using solar energy, which is through the photovoltaic cell, transfer the energy to the geared DC geared motors, and then DC gear motors simply lift the suspended weight. So yes. So now coming to some of the mathematical modelings which we have here. So here I have some of the formulas which we can use, like energy, which is the energy which we can generate or which we can store in these kind of systems, the height which will be required to elevate the mass or lower the mass, the mass required. All these things depend upon how much energy we desire to store in the system, and the time required to charge these kind of gravity batteries, because obviously time is also a crucial factor. Now if we consider the example data, so if we take 100-meter height for elevation and 1 metric ton of mass with a conversion efficiency of 80%, we can see that the energy which we can store or generate is around 300 kilowatts, which is pretty much decent with this kind of system. Also, if we take average energy consumption per day, which is around 10,000 kilojoule for non-solar hours, that is when the solar energy is not available, that is the time where for which we need to store the energy, and take a 30 metric ton of the mass. This mass will be sized around 2 by 2 by 2 meters using the Martian regoliths. And if we elevate it to 100-meter, we can easily generate around more than 11,000 kilojoule of energy, which will certainly meet our demand very easily. Okay, so now we are having here is a graph here. Sorry, we are having a chart. If we take the mass and the height constant, like 100 kilogram mass and 100-meter height, this is just an example. So obviously, since the energy is directly proportional to only these two things, mass and the height, so energy will be constant throughout this. But even if we have a constant energy, we can still produce variable power output. Suppose if we need higher power for very less amount of time, then what we can do is we can increase the drum RPM, the drum which is lowering and elevating the mass. So simply we can generate a high amount of power through this system for a very small amount of time. But if we need a small power, let us low power for long duration of time, we can reduce the drum RPM to a certain level. And of course, we can using with the help of smart systems or smart grids, we can optimize the system with based on the requirements. Like we obviously with the help of smart grids, we do this thing on Earth also, that we optimize this power output, the power requirement for the system. So we can optimize this also in somewhere between if we need. So here is a graph which shows the power output versus the drum RPM. So we can see with increasing the drum RPM, we can increase the power output. There is a linear relation, and this power is obviously values are scaled. So we can see that there is a linear relationship. If we increase the drum RPM, we will increase the power output. Now the drum RPM can be easily controlled through geared motors, so it will not be any kind of issue. And yes, if we take another another factor of mass and height, then we can see that scaling is also very easy in this system. Like we have saw in the case of lithium ion or other kind of batteries, there was an issue of scaling. Why? Because we have to transport those things from Earth to Mars. But here scaling will not be issue if even if we increase height or if we increase the mass in both the cases, or even if we increase both, we will increase the power output or even the energy output. So here also we can see through this graph. Now comes the question, well, that is okay, it sounds nice that we can elevate the mass to a certain height and we can also scale the system, but question arises, we do not have any kind of infrastructure on Mars, and of course we are saying that we have to do a sustainable development on Mars. So it will be a difficult thing to develop different kind of system for this battery technology. So I would like to put some light on the Martian topology here. We can see in this chart that here are top 9 craters which are available on Mars. So here we can see that the crater which is having the largest diameter is more than 467 kilometers diameter. So I believe if we can employ these kind of system on some kind of mountain, we do not need actually any kind of artificial structure or architecture for these batteries. We can simply use them on some kind of lava tunnels or craters, or maybe some cliff or mountain. So here we can see, if we take Martian topology, here we can see that Mars has huge amount of craters which are having large diameters and large depths. So here I have some of the terrains on the Mars. This is Arabia Terra. So if we take this graph, which shows the topological graph of the Mars, which shows these blue patches are those which are below the surface level, and all those red marked are above the surface level. So here with the graph, if we take various diameters on the for the craters on the Mars, we can easily calculate the depth using these formulas. From these formulas are taken from the catalog. So here, if we plot a depth versus diameter graph, we can easily see that here are hundreds and thousands of such craters which are available on Mars. If we take some of the craters from 5 kilometers to 20 kilometers, we can easily see that here are hundreds and thousands of such craters having depth which is more than 100 meters, and it goes up to 1 kilometer and even more than that for just 20 kilometers diameter, which are more than 1,000 on this kind of surface. And of course, if we take another terrain, that is Cris Platina, so we can see here also in the graph that there are hundreds of these kind of crater which are having depth more than or around 1 kilometer. And of course, at this plane also, we can see this thing. So it is pretty much clear that it will not be going to any kind of trouble for us. We can simply use these kind of craters for lifting and elevating and lowering the mass. So yes, and of course, our favorite Jezero crater, the Jezero crater, which is the place where the Martian rover Perseverance has landed. It is having an average depth of more than 1 kilometers. So yes, it is pretty much clear that Martian topology is going to help us a lot in this system. So here I have a few designs, a variety of designs. Like this design is taken from the Energy Vault. So if we take small capsules of mass, small capsules of mass, and if we want to charge the system, we can simply elevate these small capsules and put them one over the another and simply charge them. And if we and here also we can take more than one motor to elevate the mass. And if we want to discharge, we can do the reverse process, that we will reduce the elevation of these small mass capsules, and we will discharge and we will release the electricity. We can also create a tower like structure where we have a single heavy mass which we can lift and drop, where we can generate the electricity, or we can use the natural formations like mountain, lava tubes, etc., and also the craters. Coming to the advantages of this system, the advantages includes the profitability, that gravity storage is economical and economically superior to all other energy storage solution. Why? Because it is having low operational cost, which is even less than 1% of total capital expenditure per year, which is sometimes this operational cost could be higher in case of other kind of batteries like electrical batteries. And its applicability is good because gravity storage need not to have the elevation differences like we have saw in the pumped storage hydro. We can use this system on the flat surface by creating an artificial tower to lift this mass. It can be easily integrated with high voltage transmission grid, and can be implemented on mountain valleys, vertical lava tubes, inclined surfaces, etc. Now coming to the sustainability. So sustainability point, if we take, so here we have minimal raw materials required, which is just the rocks, so which are available in the abundance on Mars. Hence it will be no or almost very low cost of transportation of materials. For scaling, we can just take the mass from the rock, and if we can develop some kind of good technology so that we can extract the heavy metals from the surface of Mars, then it will be even better. Then we can generate more electricity because we will having high dense material for this. It will having small land footprint, per kilowatt, because we are using the vertical height, not the horizontal surface in most of the cases. And of course, no harmful chemicals are required, and it will be having a long service time, which will be beyond 60 years. Coming to the performance parameters, so the system buffers fluctuating energy on gigawatt scale and maximizes the use of excess energy by enabling it to be used during the period of low generation. And as we have saw that power generation could be easily varied for the same energy, and it is having a higher round trip efficiency, which is more than 80%. And of course, this efficiency will not reduce with every charging or discharging. We can easily with the help of some preventive maintenance, we can simply keep this energy efficiency, which will be around or more than 80%. And of course, the discharging time can be tailored to each operator's individual need, because we have saw this in the power versus RPM of the drum graph, where we see that if we increase or reduce the drum RPM, we can easily tailor this discharge time and power output. So thank you so much. Here are some of the resources which I have used for making this paper, and thank you so much. And now I am open for any kind of question and answers if there are any. Thank you.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Dipanshu. We do have a lot of questions. So let's see. So we have 7 minutes, which should be enough to answer most of them. Let's see. I can read them aloud, but also if there is something in particular interesting that you want to tackle first, just let me know. So the first question is, how do you propose to ameliorate the loss of most solar energy arriving at the surface of Mars during prolonged dust storms in order to energize the storage systems?
Sorry, could you repeat this?
It is the very first question. It's, how do you propose to ameliorate the loss of most solar energy arriving at the surface of Mars during prolonged dust storms in order to energize the storage systems?
Okay. So we know that dust storms are inevitable. They are available on Mars, and that these Martian regoliths were the primary cause for the death of our beloved Opportunity rover. So we cannot avoid these dust storms, but of course, if we are taking if we are taking this system which I am proposing is will not be able to, of course, deal with the solar storm. But yes, if we can develop some different kind of energy solutions which can generate energy, like if we can use some kind of nuclear energy, because of course we cannot store energy easily, but we can generate energy through different systems. We can generate it through tidal wind energy and solar energy. If we take that there are long duration solar wind storms on the Mars, then of course there will be, even if we take the battery system, so even that would be trouble for charging the batteries, because sun will not be available in that case. So here what I'm proposing is for mainly in the case we can take the substitute of batteries for charging. And yes, there are also other things which we can use, like we are using the nuclear power systems on some of our rovers, and we can also see that we are using here on Earth some of the nuclear powered submarines, which do not require any kind of exposure to any other resources. They can stay underwater for long duration of time.
Thanks. Next question is the one that just came in from Stuart. They ask, why is this technique not used more on Earth? Seems like the benefits are pretty much the same on Earth as on Mars.
Well, it's a very good question. Actually, this question also came in my mind. So the two diagrams which I have shown, the one is the energy vault and another is gravity city. You can actually search them on internet. They are very good, and they are using this kind of system. They are testing their systems, and the gravity city one is testing this system on the tunnels. We know that we have a lot of vertical tunnels or vertical tubes which are digged on Earth, and these are not anymore in use. So they are using these vertical tunnels to elevate and lower the mass, and they are actually working on this. And I feel that this system could become an alternative to batteries in future.
Thank you. Next question from Dusty. They ask, could you also build this directly into Starship, rail on side and cable on and mechanicals on the inside, and either lift rocks or other heavy items like Mars rover when not in use?
Yes, actually, we can use Mars rovers. That it could be a good proposal because Mars rover, when they are dead, they are just of no use. So we can use them also in this case. And I'm not sure about uh, the first part which you have said that. What was that? Starship, I guess.
Let's see. So it says, could you also build this directly into the Starship?
Yes, so I'm not very much sure about this Starship, but yes, it could be used in on that for storing energy. Well, it's a kind of nice question. I even have to check this, but yes, that second part of using the dead rovers or using any kind of dead thing, yes, it can be used there.
And another question that just came in from Patrick. Battery technology is rapidly advancing. Power density, life cycle, material recycling. What's the chance batteries are good enough by the time we need a system like this?
Yes, actually, batteries are evolving very much, but we should not forget this thing that the lithium ion which we are using or all the other rare earth elements which we are using are having, of course, are having their limitations because they are limited in the resources. And that the point which I have raised in the first slide was that transportation cost will be high. If we can develop better batteries which will have better life cycle, it could reach sometime around 50 years life cycle, and we can of course we can develop them, but yes, then transporting cost, it would be a challenge which we have to face. If we can solve that problem, then it is pretty much good, because I'm not saying that we have to discard totally the electrical systems, because they are we are using these from our cell phone to the laptop from which I am giving the presentation, all are using this battery system only. So we cannot directly discard them, but we can either use them alternatively, or we can use these both simultaneously.
Wonderful. Thank you very much. Well, we don't have more time to answer these questions live, but there are a lot of really good questions about the feasibility of your project and also some questions on the lava tubes. So it would be amazing if the listeners could follow up with you via email or LinkedIn. Otherwise, we will need to end the call and move on to the next session. But again, Dipanshu, thank you very much for being with us today.
Thank you so much. Thank you all the attendees, and thank you for these wonderful questions. I believe if I would having more time to answer all of these questions. Thank you so much.